Alright everyone, so it's been a pretty busy weekend, but we are back with the videos here, and today, honestly, there's lots of stuff that's currently going on, especially on the account. So I pulled Hilda right now, I'm still working on the Wolf, there's lots of stuff that really accelerated things, and it's really a lot of fun. So currently I feel like I'm breaking through new things with the free-to-play account pretty much every single day, and I'm going to talk about it in a bit. But today the video is about something a little bit different. We have a CVC starting today, and we also have some events to look at, and some of those might be things that you should stay away from right now. Obviously it depends very heavily on where you are with your account progress, but there's still a couple of things that we need to talk about, especially about the new event which could get you April as a legendary, and the question is, of course, as so often, is she really worth it? So we got a new event that just started where you can gather pizza points, and if you make it all the way through the milestones and you go through all of the events that you can of course find in your launcher as usual, at the end we are gonna get April O'Neil. So this is the big one. As you can already tell, it's actually quite the ordeal to get there. So if you are already on a mid-game or late-game account, it's going to be easier for you. But then at the same time, obviously, then April needs to be so much better in order to be actually useful. And now as I say that, I realize, zip, we're jumping over here real quickly because you couldn't actually see that. So April is right there. So the question is the hero worth it for where you are in your account right now? Is it worth investing all of those resources? Especially since currently you might be very much tempted to go all out and drop everything that you have into the events, because we have a CVC going on, albeit without personal rewards, but still everything you know that you contribute currently by going for some of the pizza events like gear enhancement, the gear hunters and other things contributes also to the CVC, and that can be quite useful for a lot of people. Now, the one thing that we have to take a look at is obviously April herself. So she's legendary over on the Sacred Order side. And the thing is, there's actually a couple of things going on with her. If you've been paying attention over the last couple of days, you probably already know everything around Nullify. We're going to come back to that in just a moment. But let's take a look at her abilities first. Now, generally speaking, if you take a look over at the reviews, and I know you always have to take those with a grain of salt, they're not always reflective of how good a champion actually is. But if you click over here, then you already get very quickly an idea that she isn't really all that great. So pretty much everywhere, very mediocre rankings. Arena offense is the only area where she currently shines a little bit at least, but that's something to... yeah, that will not really help most people. Now, here's the thing. If you're on a free-to-play account and you've just started, essentially every single legendary that you get is going to be good for you. The problem is that you have to invest so much in order to actually get her, and this is where it becomes tricky for a completely different reason that I'm going to touch upon in just a moment. We're looking over to her A3, we're getting an increased accuracy buff, which is always kind of nice, but it's nothing too, you know, insane. It's on a 4-turn cooldown once that it's booked. And then we have the decrease of the turn meter on all enemies by 20% and an extra turn. Now, generally, I like the extra turn. I like the decrease of the turn meter. The problem is that if you find yourself in a late game environment or even mid game, you have other champions that do that much better than April does. So that doesn't really blow me away as an A3. When we're looking over at her A2, I mean, in this case, we have Nullify. And Nullify was heavily debated over the last couple of days, because what Nullify essentially does is that every skill, like every ability essentially that you have, you can't use anymore. And funnily enough, that was applied also to bosses. So the Fire Knight would all of a sudden not use his shield anymore. The Ice Golem wouldn't go for his big hit with Revive any longer. So it would essentially just lock out all of the big bosses that you can find in dungeons and make your life so much easier. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, Plarium has already chipped in on that and has stated that Nullify is not supposed to work on dungeon bosses, so it will actually be removed. That's a bug, and that's not going to persist. Now, the good news is that they said this while the event is still ongoing, because it would have been fairly annoying for a lot of people if you would have all of a sudden looked at that, say like, hey, this is fantastic for all of my dungeon progress, let's go and invest all my resources, and then once you know you have the actual champion, all of a sudden Plarium comes in and says like, oh yeah, by the way, boys, we have to remove that. So at least they said it very, very early. And since it doesn't apply to bosses, I gotta be honest, still alright, but nothing where I'm like, oh my god, this is going to help me to break through all of the areas where I might have problems. So what I like probably the most is her A1. This is pretty neat here. By the way, when we're talking about her A2, it's also always a question of the probability. For example, we're looking over to the explosive scoop here. We have a 50% chance. Isn't that great either. I mean, 50% even when you're fully booked, it doesn't give you any reliability here. So when we're looking over to her A1, that's a bit of a different story. We have a lot of debuffs that she can apply on her A1, but also in this case, I mean, we can book it a little bit up more, can get it up to 75. As an A1, that's actually pretty good. I like this probably the most. But generally speaking, she's not really a champion where I think it's worth to invest all of the resources in. And one of the things that's kind of important in the context of the event is that we also have events coming up for Raphael and for Leonardo pretty soon. And those are probably much better for accounts, especially when we're talking about Leonardo. So it's a little bit of a bait, in my personal opinion, to go for this right now, because you have the combo of the April event, the pizza event, and of the CVC. So it feels like you're really tempted to invest your resources into it. Now, I don't even know if I can get the other champions, given that the account is really new and there's still a lot of areas where it's a bit difficult for me to break through those. But at the same time, I don't think that April is really worth it. And one of the things that have to be put in context here too is, even if I got her right now, I wouldn't have the books for her. I just booked Michelangelo. I have other legendary champions that I think are going to be more important than her, and she needs a fair amount of legendary books too. So if you are currently finding yourself in the early stages of your account, I think she's not really worth it for you, because having her would be great, but getting her is going to cost you way too much and might even be impossible. And if you are in a mid or a late game scenario, everything that she does is essentially done better by other champions that you will already have or soon get. So for me personally, she's currently a pass. I'm going to still contribute to some of the events to at least get a couple of the rewards here. And I've also been able now to finally properly test out my Fire Knight team. I talked in previous videos about how I needed to book Michelangelo, how I needed to book my Wolf, and I waited for the CVC, so that gave me the points and allowed me to just chip in. But now those champions are booked and are going to help me a lot. But I will still keep a lot of resources back. You can see here I have 1,300 gems right now, which for my account in this early is still a lot, so I'm going to keep that. And I'm also not dumping everything now in events like the gear enhancement event, because I absolutely expect that when we're going to the Leonardo event and others, that we will probably have similar events to try and gather points there, and then I will use those resources. So I've actually prepped a lot of my characters already. Just to give you an idea, I think I had a couple... where's Hilda? So there she is. So I have those already on level 11. I have a lot of items that are upgraded to level 15 on others. I think the dwarf has a couple of 15s. So I already started to prep for the items. Basically I selected the items that I want to get to level 12, level 16, and I started to upgrade them, but I will wait with the final level until an event is live where I really want to invest those. And since the Leonardo event is supposed to start this weekend, I'm going to wait for that and see what exactly we're getting there, and if there's something where I can actually get the champion, because this has a much higher priority for me than April. But since we're already talking about him, let's take a quick look at Leonardo. Again, for me the question is still, can I get him? But he would really be the priority if I have the resources. So a quick look over here is already telling you that, I mean, he is fantastic when it comes to the turtles. So definitely somebody that you want to get. And you have lots of cool abilities on his side. Now, in an ideal world, you obviously have more on the turtles. For the free-to-play account, it was honestly a bit sad that I'm at a point where I just can't go for all of them, because I just don't have that. But having a stone skin here immediately is already quite nice. I mean, we have tons and tons of cool abilities for him that really help you. He's also a champion that is defense-based, which is always nice to have. We have a pretty good nuke there too. So there's a lot going on with Leonardo. Him being a Void champion obviously emphasizes that even more. But it's really something where you should, if you have to make a choice, invest your resources into him instead of going for April. So that's the thing. Now, in a lot of those, you have some overlap at least going on. But again, if resources are scarce, then make sure that you prioritize them. And for me personally, it's a pretty easy choice. I don't have the resources to go for everything that is currently being offered or will be offered in the events that are to come. So I'm going to prioritize Leonardo over anything else. I'm going to save up my gems. I'm going to save up a little bit of silver. And I'm going to try to see what I can do there. April herself, even with Leonardo not in the picture, wouldn't really be worth it for me. And I think for most of the accounts that are out there right now, if you're free to play and early in the game, she's just not worth the investment. As I said before, if you're in the early game, it's tough for you to get her. If you're in the mid and late game, there's other champions that do her job just better. So for me personally, it's a pass. Let me know what you guys think about it. Are you going for her? Do you feel she's worth it? Especially now that Plarium has confirmed that Nullify is not supposed to work on bosses, or is she a skip in your eyes as well? If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.